Tensions between the United States and Iran have once again reached a critical moment, but this time, instead of missiles, both sides have returned to the negotiating table. After months of rising threats, military movements, and growing fear of a regional war, Washington and Tehran have agreed to hold high-level talks in Oman, a neutral country known for mediating Middle East conflicts. These talks are being watched closely by the entire world, because their outcome could decide whether the region moves toward peace, or toward another devastating war. To understand why these negotiations matter so much, we must first look at the history behind the conflict. For decades, the US and Iran have been enemies, mainly because of Iran's nuclear program and its influence across the Middle East. In 2015, Iran signed a nuclear deal with world powers, promising to limit its nuclear activities in exchange for economic sanctions being lifted. But in 2018, the United States pulled out of the deal and reimposed heavy sanctions, crushing Iran's economy. Since then, Iran increased uranium enrichment, while the US increased pressure. This created a dangerous cycle of escalation. Now in 2026, tensions have reached a new peak. American warships have moved closer to the region. Military warnings have increased. And both sides have spoken openly about the possibility of conflict. That is why these new talks in Oman are so important. The main issue on the table is Iran's nuclear program. The United States wants Iran to stop enriching uranium at high levels and allow international inspectors full access to its facilities, to ensure Iran cannot develop nuclear weapons. Iran insists its nuclear program is peaceful and meant only for energy and research. But Iran also demands that all economic sanctions be lifted before it makes major concessions. This is where the biggest disagreement begins. Another major problem is the scope of negotiations. Iran wants the talks to focus only on nuclear issues. But the United States wants a broader agreement that also includes Iran's ballistic missile program, Iran's influence in Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, and Yemen, and security concerns across the Middle East. Iran strongly rejects this expanded agenda, calling it unfair and an attempt to weaken the country. This disagreement has already made negotiations difficult. While diplomats talk about peace, military pressure continues. The United States has sent powerful aircraft carriers and fighter jets to the region as a warning. At the same time, Iran has conducted military drills and threatened strong retaliation if attacked. The US even advised its citizens to leave Iran, a rare and serious move that shows how real the danger has become. Both sides are negotiating, but also preparing for conflict. So what does each side really want? Iran wants sanctions lifted, its economy restored, and recognition of its right to nuclear technology. The United States wants limits on Iran's nuclear program, reduced regional influence, and long-term security for its allies. Both sides fear appearing weak. And both sides face internal political pressure at home. The world has a lot at stake in these talks. If diplomacy fails, the Middle East could face another major war, possibly involving Israel, Gulf nations, and global powers. Oil prices could skyrocket. Global markets could crash. Millions of civilians could suffer. But if diplomacy succeeds, sanctions could ease, economies could stabilize, and tensions could reduce across the region. Now let's look at what could happen next. One possible outcome is a limited nuclear deal. Iran may agree to slow enrichment and allow inspections, while the US provides partial sanctions relief. This would lower immediate tensions but not solve deeper conflicts. Another possibility is a larger comprehensive agreement covering nuclear issues, missiles, and regional behavior. This would bring long-term stability, but is very difficult to achieve due to deep mistrust. A third scenario is total collapse of talks. If negotiations fail and provocations continue, military conflict could become unavoidable. And finally, talks may continue for months without major breakthroughs, keeping the world stuck in uncertainty. The reality is simple. Both the US and Iran know that war would be disastrous. But both also refuse to back down easily. That's why diplomacy is happening under extreme tension. In the end, these talks may shape the future of the Middle East. They could bring peace. They could freeze conflict. Or they could push the region toward war. Right now, the world is watching closely. Because what happens between the US and Iran next may affect global security for years to come.